Beijing.
I gotta say, that's almost like me knocking on the door when I show up to a date. Like, they open the door.
Yeah.
Hi, Lila. What's going on, everyone? You're running the fast break with Chill Rob and G Money. We call him G Money because he's an accountant. G Money, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing all right. How's everybody doing?
Well, I got one thing to say to you, G Money. Quack, quack. It's time to go to Alibaba.com, or as my parents would like to say, Alibaba.com, to look for that JLin Beijing Duck jersey, because JLin is officially a Beijing Kaoya. Do you think they call it that? Do you think they say it that way over in China?
I think, I think they do. I mean, that's the official team name.
I'm sure many of you have heard by now, Jeremy Lin announced a couple days ago, after 9 years in the NBA, he is excited to make more history in the Chinese Basketball Association. If you've seen our previous videos, J Money, we said last season could be make or break for JLin depending on how he did. And if he didn't perform, maybe he would be out of the league. So first reaction to the announcement, how surprised were you with that?
Not really that surprised, considering, you watched what he said a few weeks ago or maybe a month ago.
Rock bottom just seems to keep getting more and more rock bottom for me.
He can use the playing time. That's my point. I think he'll play a lot more in China. The fans love him already in there. So he really has nothing to prove, but go out there and play some ball like he always he's capable of doing.
Now, most people found out on Instagram and Twitter. Now, there was also a welcome video, and I want to roll that real quick. Let's roll the videotape.
Beijing.
I gotta say, that's almost like me knocking on the door when I show up to a date. Like, they open the door.
Yeah.
Hi, Lila. I don't know if it was a little creepy or what, but anyway, so before we look forward to his new journey, G Money, I want to talk about the past. Look at the past a little bit. His career stats in the NBA, 9 years, 12 points, 4 assists, 3 rebounds a game. That's not too bad. After he exploded with the Knicks, I thought he was a decent starter with the Rockets. Very solid 6-man with the Hornets. 2 injury-riddled years with Brooklyn. And I think he showed last year he still had something left in the tank. Where do you think everything went off the tracks for him?
When he went to Toronto. That's when everything went on. If he was still with Atlanta, he would be able to play. He'll be able to put up some decent numbers. He was a good solid backup to the rookie Trae Young. I think if he stayed with Atlanta, I think he would at least have 2 or 3 offers on the table right now.
Looking back, I think the excitement JLin fans like myself felt when he went to Toronto, that ended up being just completely unfounded. We thought he could, at the very least, give them the same production that Fred VanVleet was producing. But now when we look back, especially when we saw what happened in the playoffs, I mean, it's kind of crazy to think that we kind of thought they were on the same level the way they played. VanVleet was hurt, but once he came back, he took the job right back from him.
Yeah, VanVleet, I mean, you can't really argue that VanVleet deserved to play over him. It's just a little sad situation that Jeremy Lin didn't really contribute to the championship that Toronto won last year. But, I mean, at least he's got that on his record. He's an NBA champion, so you can't take that away from him.
There was a big drop-off when he went from Atlanta to Toronto. When he was with Atlanta, he was still averaging 10.7 points per game on 46% shooting, 33% from 3. But when he went to Toronto, that dropped to 7 points a game on 37% shooting and just 20% from 3. And I kind of feel the same way. If he just stayed in Atlanta, did his thing as a backup, he probably could still be somewhere right now.
Yeah, if they actually played him in the playoffs a little bit and he contributed, he would definitely have some offers right now. But since he played basically 0 minutes in the playoffs, he was in and out, on garbage time, maybe a couple of games in the playoffs. But Other than that, he really didn't play. So.
All right, so looking forward to where he's headed off now. The Beijing Ducks is the same team Stephon Marbury took to the championship 3 different seasons. They're one of the better teams in the CBA, but they're not elite. They got the 6th best record in the league. There's 20 teams. They got bounced in the quarterfinals, the playoffs last year. Their roster is still to be determined, but last year they had Justin Hamilton. Do you remember him from the New Jersey Nets or Brooklyn Nets for a little bit?
I always wonder what happened to Justin Hamilton.
Guess what he averaged in China? He did very well for himself.
I'm guessing over 20 points a game.
He averaged 24 points, 10 rebounds, 2.3 blocks. And get this, on 62% shooting.
That's Hall of Fame numbers right there. That's Hall of Fame numbers. He's going into the Beijing Hall of Fame.
I'm not sure if he's going to be on the team this year. He might be. He's listed on the roster right now, but I don't know if he will be. I want us to guess what Jeremy Lin's stats are going to be. But before I do that, let me read you off a couple of the stats from the people in the CBA right now. Pierre Jackson, who had a cup of coffee with the 76ers, averaged 40 points and 9 assists a game. Remember Luis Scola?
Luis Scola, a former Brooklyn Net as well. I will always wonder what happened to him.
20 points, 10 rebounds in the CBA last season. I want to give you 2 more. Shabazz Muhammad, former Timberwolf, 29.8 points a game. And finally, I'll give you a point guard, Ty Lawson. We remember Ty Lawson, right? North Carolina.
You remember him with the Houston Rockets and also the Denver Nuggets?
Denver Nuggets. Guess how many points, rebounds, and assists he averaged?
He was a pretty good NBA player. I'm going to guess 30 points and 10 assists. And how about 7 rebounds?
7 rebounds. You're out of your mind. Pretty close, though. 26.5 points, 8.7 assists, 3.9 rebounds. Now, I was listening to an interview Jeremy Lin did in China, and the guy was telling him, hey, since you're an international player, you're expected to play 40 minutes a game. You got to average at least 30 points a game and get your teammates involved. So what is your prediction? What can Jeremy Lin average with the Beijing Ducks next year?
After hearing some of those numbers, I think Jeremy Lin will definitely average 20. I'm going to say between 20 and 25 points. I'll give him like 23 points a game. Rebound-wise, I mean, he's not really a rebounder, so I'm going to guess probably I'll give him 3 to 4 rebounds a game. Assists, he's going to get a lot of players involved. There's a couple of good players on the team, so I think that can shoot. I think he's going to average about 8 to 9 assists a game.
I don't know. I think you're underselling him. I'm going 27 points per game, 8 assists a game, and 5 rebounds. I'm going 27, 8, and 5.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. Let's put it that way.
I was listening to, like I said, an interview that he did in China. I think this was before he actually got signed, though. And his biggest regret is what happened with the the Brooklyn Nets. The 2 years that he thought everything finally lined up. He had the coach, he had the system, he had the trust, he had the playing time, he had the starter job. And he always wondered what would have happened if I never got hurt with the Nets in those 2 years. As a Brooklyn Net fan, do you wonder the same thing?
I do wonder the same thing. He could have really gelled. I remember the Brooklyn tandem with Brook Lopez and Jeremy Lin in the first season. Everybody was pretty excited about that. Unfortunately, they really didn't take the floor together that often that season. The second season, obviously, the first game, he just got that big injury and was out for the season. So it's definitely a what if. What if Jeremy Lin stayed healthy? But you can't play what if.
Now, the CBA season is only 46 games. 100% certain Jeremy Lin has in his contract, if I get an NBA offer, I can just leave anytime I want. So the big question right now, is he going to ever make it back to the league?
I don't think so. I think I would definitely consider Jeremy Lin retire from the NBA. I think he should retire. I think
I was wondering how long it was going to take for you to start hating on Brother Lin. It took you like.
No, I'm not hating on him. I'm just telling the truth. I think this is it for him. I think he's actually played to his potential in the NBA.
Really?
I think he reached his potential. I think he's achieved what he's always dreamed of, being a starting point guard in the NBA. He's done that. Now he can take his talents worldwide. He can take it to China. He can build his brand there, and that's what he was meant to do. NBA, I think he should let that go. I think he should focus on a wider audience. He already does, but I mean, China is obviously a big platform for him. So unfortunately, I mean, I think a lot of people will disagree, but I think he's retired as of right now. For me, he's retired from the NBA.
Wow. Well, what if, I mean, if he goes out there and he puts up 28, 8, and 7 or something, I have a feeling that some NBA team will take a flyer, especially if there's
Did you read off all those numbers before? Any of those players make it back to the NBA?
Jimmer Fredette got a shot with Phoenix last year.
Yeah. Out of one person out of how many that was actually successful in the CBA? I think. Look, the CBA, obviously, the competition is a lot to be desired. I mean, there's basically no competition. So you can put up 40 points in the CBA and still not get an NBA contract.
I don't know. I can't see this being it. He's come too far. He's had too many setbacks. And I really don't. It sounds like from the interviews that I listen to, it doesn't sound like he can live with himself if he doesn't, at least in his mind, reach his full potential. In the interviews I listened to, he said, you know what? In Toronto, I don't blame anyone. They gave me a shot for a few games, dozen games or so, and I just didn't play to my potential. And I can let that go because I know I tried and I failed. Now, when you look at the big picture of his career, he still doesn't feel like he's really been in a position to thrive and succeed.
I think Lin needs to accept the fact that he did reach his potential when he was a starter in the NBA, when he was with the Houston Rockets, when he had
some good moments.
He had some great moments, even with the Charlotte Hornets. He had some great moments, not as a starter, but as a backup. He actually exceeded his potential when he was with the Knicks, right? You can say that. So I think he's definitely reached his potential. In his mind, obviously, maybe he can do a little bit more. Maybe he can become a solid. I don't know what he's thinking. Maybe a solid backup in the NBA. But unfortunately, you have a major injury. You got to work twice as hard to get back. And right now, this is his best move. And I think he should just focus on being in Beijing and, for the rest of his basketball career.
You always got to be so harsh on him. All right. So let's say you're right. And that's hard for me to say because, I mean, you look back there. I got a pillow with the man's face on it. All right. So this is hard for me to swallow, but let's say you're right. Let's say you're right. And this is it. How will he be remembered if this is truly the end of his NBA career? How will he be remembered?
As an average journeyman. I mean, what other way is there? He's been with what? How many teams has Jeremy Lin been with? He's been with the Knicks, Golden State at the start of his career, Atlanta, Toronto, Lakers, Houston, Charlotte, right? That's seven teams. In Brooklyn, that's 8 teams.
And here's the sad part. I think people are going to remember him as like a, one-hit wonder. Someone got a good 2 weeks and sucked for the rest of his career. When in reality, he was by my estimation, at the very least, a average to above average starting point guard. Then he was in a horrible situation in LA where no one could succeed. Then he was an above average 6-man, and he was on his way to becoming a legit above average starter in Brooklyn before everything went south again. Right.
But at the end of the day, he will be remembered as an average journeyman.
I just want to make mention that this episode is brought to you by StreamYard. No, we are not sponsored, but because Google decided to end its Hangouts, I had to find an alternative. I don't feel like I could pay $20 a month to get rid of that little icon over there, but why? I just give them a shout out. They'll get a shout out. So I'll be keeping a close eye on it. We'll see how it goes. I'm holding on the faith that he's going to perform. He just has to stay healthy. That is the number one issue. His body has to hold up. If that happens, the numbers will take care of itself. And if he stays healthy, puts up 25 points, 8 assists, 4 or 5 rebounds a game, shoot an okay percentage from 3, I have the utmost confidence the CBA season will be over, And I think he will get a call from somebody. He will get another shot, and he will make it count.
Well, I'm going to hold you to that. It's on video right now. But I will say this right now. Good luck to Jeremy Lin in China. I hope he does well. He was a good player in the NBA. And, we can just leave it at that.
All right, we'll see what happens. Anything else you want to add before we go?
No, I think I'm good.
All right, thanks for running the fast break, everyone. We'll catch you later. Peace. We're out of here.